Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. How are you doing today, Marlou?
I'm feeling a bit under the weather,
Yeah.
but God gives you the strength to get through anything.
To pull through.
Pull
yeah.
through.
Now, I felt a little bit of a sore throat last night, but I'm feeling a little bit better after taking a few herbal remedies. But today we have another very exciting episode. We are meeting up with someone and they're going to be sharing their testimony with us today. And it's a little bit different than last time, from a different background, a different upbringing. And I really enjoy testimonies, because you get to understand how God leads people in different ways. You know, you last time we had Mdu coming from a very different background as today. But yet there's always a way in which God leads these people to him.
Yeah, it shows that God cares for everyone, irrespective of what they're going through, what their background was.
And he knows what they need, what they require to operate, spiritually on an optimal level. So, I think we should get going.
Yeah, let's not keep her waiting. Let's go and meet her.
Yeah, let's go.
Hi everyone, so we're back here and this is Keira. And as you guys can see, she is still pretty young. She turned 18 this year. And you are never too young to have God in your life. You're never too young to be an example to others and to glorify God through the things that you do.
Yeah, we never know how God will use us in different walks of life. Yeah.
And speaking about youth, it reminds me of the passage in 1 Timothy 4 verse 12. So let's quickly go to the passage.
1 Timothy 4 verse 12.
Okay, so it says, "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity." And there's also a nice comment on this verse in Youth Instructor, which says, "In the history of Timothy are found precious lessons. He was a mere lad when chosen by God as a teacher, but so fixed was his principles by a correct education that he was fitted for the important position. He bore his responsibilities with Christ-like meekness. He was faithful, steadfast, and true, and Paul selected him to be his companion in labor and travel. Lest Timothy should meet with slights because of his youthfulness, Paul wrote to him, 'Let no man despise thy youth.' He could safely do this because Timothy was not self-sufficient, but continually sought guidance. There are many youth who move from impulse rather than from judgment. But Timothy inquired at every step, 'Is this the way of the Lord?' He had no special brilliant talents, but he consecrated all his abilities to the service of God, and this made his work valuable. The Lord found in him a mind that he could mold and fashion for the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. God will use the youth today as he used Timothy, if they will submit to his guidance. It is your privilege to be God's missionaries. He calls upon you to work for your companions. Seek out those you know to be in danger, and in the love of Christ, try to help them. How are they to know the Savior unless they see his virtues in his followers?"
It shows you how important education is, but it is how you manage that. It's how you react to that. You can have all the education, everything, and you may rebel against it. Or you have no education, but God leads you to find that mystery or that education, and then you
you accept him for who he is and you hold on to truth. So Timothy was a good example of someone who was not self-sufficient. He relied on God to lead him. Yeah.
And if you allow that, there's nothing that can defeat you in this world, because that's your true source of power.
Yeah.
It's God.
It's your beacon. That's it.
But before we continue, let's just have a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful opportunity that we have to talk about how you worked in our lives. I pray and I ask that you will guide us with your Holy Spirit, that we may glorify you in our past life, that might help other people to come closer to you. I pray this in Jesus' name alone. Amen.
Yeah, so Keira, it's you're very young, and it's very brave, and it takes a lot of guts to do what you're going to be doing today, sharing your testimony. And a testimony is it's very personal, and it just shows how passionate you are as well to help others. To share your testimony is to help others, and God uses testimonies in such a special way. He uses it as an effective evangelistic tool. And when we look at the young people today, it's so nice, it's so great to see that there are still people in this world, young people who rely on God and who have the faith that they need to have to pull them through, because there's so much temptation and struggles in this world. We live in a confusing time. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of deception as well. And for me, I was a bit unsuccessful when it came to staying on the right path. When I was young, I got baptized at the age of 21. And then I fell into the world for quite a long time after that. Mine was peer pressure. And it just goes to show there's a lot of elements that we need to be aware of. And it will be really interesting to hear your story and see where you come from and how you've been led by God and the struggles that you've been through and all of that. Yeah. So I guess my first question would be, Have you always, stayed on the straight and narrow? Was there a time where you rebelled in your life? I guess we'll hear more about your life thereafter. I just wanted to understand, that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as human beings, it's actually impossible to say you've always been on the straight path. The devil throws a lot of things at you, temptations and trials. So it has been a struggle. I must say, I think the time when my faith really was tested was when I got sick a couple of years ago. It's a difficult time when you go through trials and a lot of questions. You have a lot of questions that you need answers to, and God doesn't always give you the answers at that exact moment. He's got a purpose and a plan.
Yeah.
He knows that you may not need the answers right now, but maybe later.
And he's going to test your faith.
Yes, he's taking you on a journey.
To the limit sometimes. Yeah.
So I think, I grew up in a Christian home, a Seventh-day Adventist, and our whole family is, Christian. So I must say, I'm very privileged actually to have that, because you don't really get that out there in the world anymore. So I've always, know what the truth is and the Bible and all these things. But even though you have all these access to everything, the decision is still yours. Yeah. You can all the knowledge can be given to you, but it's still your decision if you really want to accept it and if you want God in your life.
I just want to interject. It's interesting for me. I've noticed and I've pondered over this. We had an interview with someone else as well before, where when people come from an atheistic background or non-Christian, non-believers, it's a real miracle when they find the truth and they accept the truth. But also, if they do, that doesn't always happen, but if they yearn for purpose in their life and they yearn for truth, and they find that truth, they hold on to it because they don't want to let go of it. But I've seen in my own life as well, and if you're a Christian and you were brought up a certain way, Satan tries to, he hates Jesus, he hates Christ. He wants to take you away from truth. So he's going to work even harder to put a lot of stumble blocks in your path. If you're brought up as a Christian, you have the truth and you have the knowledge. That's what happened with me. He put people in your path. He put, friends and deceptions or whatever the case may be. He lured you with temptation. Just wanted to make that point that it's very hard sometimes for someone in a Christian home it's easy, put it this way, for them to rebel. That whole thing about he's a pastor's kid, they're always the naughty ones because that's how it is, and it's tough for you to, and the Bible also says once you've fallen from truth, it's so much harder to get back. And that, I'm just saying that it's not always sunshine and roses to be in a Christian home, because Satan knows where to attack you, knows your weak points.
And the other thing as well is when you grow up in a Christian home, people tend to say, especially the young people, that you're so privileged that you didn't grow up in a Christian home because you had the opportunity to experience everything in the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
But if you go into the world, you realize, this isn't as great as I thought it was.
Yeah. But there's that fine line. Not many make it out again. Very little of them make it out, and that's just a sad reality. So, yeah.
So where does your journey start?
My journey, it started a couple of years ago when I was 12. And it was actually right about this time, term break ended, school was starting again. And I started with a normal flu symptoms. And I had a headache, and the main point was the weakness I felt. So a couple of weeks went by, I wasn't at school, and we said, okay, we need to go see a doctor because it needs to have stopped at this point. And
was it like flu symptoms?
Yeah,
was it
normal.
Fever?
And
I think I had fever and I had a severe headache and coughing. It was really normal symptoms. I thought, okay, it's going to be a couple of days and I'm back at school. Because I was a really active, sporty girl. I really liked school, which is crazy. But I actually really liked it, the sports and your friends. And so for me, missing out was not, I didn't enjoy it at all. So a couple of weeks went by and we went to another doctor and they did some tests. And I remember at that time I was walking and my mom asked me why am I limping. She could see I'm walking but my legs is very weak. And I said, I don't know, it just feels like I don't have enough energy to walk. And then it was, since I started with the flu symptoms, it was 4 weeks the time period, and then I couldn't walk at all. So it was very fast. Everything happened really fast.
Were
And
you paralyzed?
yes, I was
So you couldn't feel your legs,
paralyzed.
or you didn't have the strength to lift yourself?
It was more, I didn't have the strength to lift myself. I could
still feel?
Yes.
Okay.
They did the pins and needle test on my leg, so all of my feeling was there. It just, I couldn't get up.
Yeah, so from flu-like symptoms to not being able to walk in 4 weeks.
Yes. So then I was admitted to the hospital. They did a lot of tests. That was, I don't even remember everything, but it was a lot of tests. And it was, I think the time I got there in the hospital, it was 3 days since then, and that was the first time I couldn't walk at all. So I was dependent on a wheelchair, and so then it was a long journey, because I mean, we're not doctors. I don't know anything about medical stuff, and you're actually only dependent on doctors for their advice, and they tested me for a lot of things. And
How did you feel during that time?
it was a difficult time, because
Were you scared? I'm sure you
I
were.
was scared. I was scared, I must say. A lot of emotions, because it just feels like you're almost not stranded, but it just felt like you don't know what's going on. Why can't I walk? Why am I missing out? Life goes on. Everyone is at school. You're missing out on work, on sport, and you're stuck in the hospital and you don't know what's wrong with you. So it was a very difficult time, and my doctor at that point, also she kindly said to me, she doesn't want to be my doctor anymore because she don't know what's going on. And she actually said, she said that I think looking back now, all of the emotions also comes with it. She also said it's a mental issue. I'm making it up in my mind.
Yeah.
Because actually they don't have any answers. So the easiest thing to jump to is, you must be the problem. You're making it up in your mind. So she kindly said she doesn't want to be my doctor anymore. So then we were literally left alone, like back to square one.
Yeah.
We found another doctor, and the worst thing about that time period was the fact that you don't know what's going on. You cannot walk, and then nobody is believing you. They say you're going crazy, and
because if the medical world cannot give you an answer, then you must be crazy. Almost something like that.
Yeah, so the problem is with you and not with the learned people.
Yeah, and that at that point you start doubting yourself, like, is there really something wrong with me maybe? Because I mean the doctors say there is. What is going on? And
so I'm just thinking of, it's off the topic, but I'm just thinking of Noah. Hey, he's building an ark. He's like, is something wrong with me for building this massive ark, spending so much time, but the faith, brought him through. But John,
yeah, it is. That period really tested my faith, because it's not nice when everyone is doubting you. You cannot walk. And I had physio every day, and the physio came to me, and at one point I would sit on the edge of my bed, and then she would help. I would hold on to her, and I would lift up and just try to stand on my feet. And we would do just walking from this to where you're sitting, just short distances. And I wasn't even able to do that. And then she said she thinks we should just do bed exercises because my muscles, they don't want that pressure or what you call it, that pressure, tension on my legs.
Were you still sick at this time?
Yes.
Were you still sick? So you still had the flu symptoms during this
I
time?
had the flu symptoms.
Okay,
and,
still. Wow.
So at that point, I still had flu symptoms, and then we found another doctor, and he did more tests on me, and he found out I was tested positive for Lyme's disease, and a few of the other things. It was a whole complex thing. So they gave me treatment for Lyme's disease, and they only did it for a week. You were supposed to do, I think, 2 weeks. So it wasn't effective. It didn't get me fully recovered or restored.
I just wanted to ask, is that something that comes from a tick?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Lyme's disease. Okay.
Yeah. So Lyme's disease is a tick that bites you, and it depends on where the bacteria sits.
Okay.
So we found out, we contacted a lot of people that also had Lyme's disease, and some people got blind, some were paralyzed and blind.
Oh, wow. So it can affect you in different ways.
And someone, I think the one lady also got Alzheimer's from it. So it's actually a really broad disease. In my case, the Lyme's disease affected my spinal cord. So that's why I couldn't walk.
So it was Lyme's disease?
Yes, it was Lyme's disease. And the doctors, the reason why, so I was tested positive for it, but the doctor said it cannot be because you don't get it in South Africa, which, if you think about it, is actually impossible because, immigration, even with birds, fly across the world. So it's really easy for a tick to be transported from somewhere to the next place. So we didn't know anything about it. So I've never heard of Lyme disease in my whole life. So I just, you didn't do research about it also. And then when I got the new doctor, and he gave me the treatment for Lyme's disease. And I remember it's the one morning, they had to wait me for the medication and everything. So I wasn't even able to get on the scale. So they had to lift me up and weight me, and then, figure out the weight.
So weigh you with someone else and then subtract the...
So I was really weak, and I remember every morning I would, I would sit on the side of my bed and just see how does my legs feel if I put it on the ground, and I try to stand up, because it's a difficult thing to accept. Okay, this is your life from now on. You're not, your whole life changes. You're dependent on a wheelchair, and I was just not ready to accept that. So
is there a chance? Sorry, but is there a chance that this would remain? That the result of this disease?
There was a chance, or actually we didn't know, because in my mind I was thinking this is probably going to be permanent because it's going nowhere. So, and I was just not ready, because I didn't get into an accident or anything. I still had feeling in my legs. I could still feel it. I just cannot move it at all.
I can just imagine all of the questions that had to run through your mind. You're so young. You have all of these things happening. The doctor says you're just faking it. Yeah. And you don't know what's going to happen next.
Can I ask, maybe it's premature, but how was your faith prior to being 12, prior to this event? Was it strong and how did this affect your faith?
I must say, looking back on it, I don't think some people also asked me if I wanted to change that period. Would I ever just skip it at all? And looking back, I think I would say I wouldn't change a bit of it, because it saved me spiritually, that whole journey. Before that, you're young. I wasn't really so strong in my faith at that point. I was just 12 years old, still figuring out things out, learning about all of the things in the Bible. And that period just really tested my faith, and it brought me so much closer to God. Like really being dependent on Him daily, because at that point, it wasn't only my legs that was weak. My arms was weak. I wasn't able to move my arms a lot. Even just normal things like brushing my teeth was so exhausting for me. At one point, my mom, eating, I would take a couple of bites, and then I was so exhausted I couldn't carry on. So my mom had to feed me sometimes. And then I also started with pain in my legs. I had constant pain. And that was also, I was dependent on God daily. The only thing that really helped was prayer. I was, praying, talking to God daily, from moment to moment, because you were so dependent on Him, and that really builded my faith in Him. I got to know Him in that time period.
And not just for you,
and
for your parents and your
my
siblings.
parents as well. Yeah.
How did your parents feel at that initial stages?
I remember my mom said it was really difficult. I remember I didn't cry a lot, but I remember my mom crying.
Can imagine.
Because she said the worst about that was the fact it's your child and you're not able to do anything. And my dad also said he wished he could take that role of, carrying my pain, going through all of that. But, you're going through to doctors and they're not even able to help you. And as a parent, you just want your child to get better, and there's nothing that's working, and it's just getting worse and worse. And my mom said it was a really difficult time for them as well.
And so what happened next? Was it you were in the hospital, you struggled to eat, you were drained?
That's a great question. Can I just add something before we get into that? I just wanted to say that God tests our faith and He allows things to happen. So like you said, you wouldn't have done it differently because it strengthened you. That's very important for everyone to know as well, is when we tend to lose faith when something bad happens in our life. And that's not, we should have the faith that God is allowing certain things like Job to happen in his life. Imagine Job, all of those things that happened, that's incomprehensible for me. And like you said, your faith was strengthened by this. So that's amazing.
It is. And I remember the only thing that got me through that period was I didn't know they gave me the treatment, but they gave me the treatment for Lyme's disease. So at the beginning stage, you can prevent it from getting worse. The treatment should just be effective, and they should do the whole treatment, which in my case, they didn't complete it. So I don't even know why, but so the one morning my grandma came and visited, and my mom was on the phone with my dad, and I said to her, I want to see if I can walk. So I got up, I sat at the side of my bed, and when I put my legs on, my feet on the ground, I could feel like there was strength in them. So I hold on to my grandma, and I could stand on my legs. And I took a step, and I was able to walk short distances again. And that was just that was the biggest miracle.
That's just
It was mind-blowing to see, because that morning I wasn't even able to do anything by myself, and that afternoon I was able to walk. And so then I was released from the hospital, and we started going for rehab, because I needed to, just my muscles needed to get strong again, and just build my strength back.
But what changed from when did the change happen when you could start walking again? Did they treat you for it?
They gave me treatment for it, but so they gave me the treatment, and that was the reason I could walk again. And it was absolutely an answer to my prayer, because I remember that morning I prayed a special prayer, and I asked God if it's His will to just give me one more chance, just the opportunity to just walk again. And that was an answer to my prayer. And so I went for the rehab, and a couple of weeks, I think I was in the rehab for 3 weeks. And then I had a backlash again, it was worse than before. My pain got worse, and I had constant pain in my legs. There was, at that period, I used pain medication, which was, I think, level 6, which is a really high level for such a young age, and that didn't even help at all. The only thing really that helped was, like I said, prayer. And the only thing also was heat. So I had heating pads underneath my legs the whole time, and small little things was difficult, exhausting for me. So then,
Sure. Yeah. So just before, or you prayed and you got better, and just as things were going on, you had another
setback.
Wow.
And I think that, just looking back on that, it just reminds me of how personal God is. Like He speaks to us in such a personal way that only He knows, that we'll understand. And the second setback that I had was the only thing that got me through that was, if God was able to do it back then, he can still do it again. He's still in control. And that was just a reminder for me. Even though I had a really bad setback, I was still reminded about the fact that He answered my prayer, and to just cling on Him again, to just know that He's the only one. He's in control, and He's got a purpose for it. It was almost as he was just saying, like, just push through. There's a better plan for all of this.
So He gave you a little, He gave you a little taste of, you got well and then fell back. But my actual question is, and it's, were you ever frustrated with God during this time? It's also a question we need to ask. Was there ever a time where you were like, I can't do this anymore? Is this how you're going to treat me? Am I going to be like this forever? Was there ever that?
Because it's so easy to go that route, to say God is to blame for all of
Very
this.
easy. Yeah.
I must say, it's the easiest thing to put the blame on God, because why would He allow this? And I think I never questioned God, why would He allow this to happen to me? But there was a lot of questions, why is this happening to me?
The reason, what's the purpose for this?
You want to understand things, and we didn't even know what was going on. And I had a lot of questions, like why this, why now, why at this age?
It's not fair, almost.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
It's almost, yeah. And that whole period it brought me so much closer to God, because I really studied the book of Job, because if you look at all the things he went through, it was severe struggles and trials. And just looking up at it, like, God doesn't, he is not the reason things happen. You know, Satan is out to destroy us. He wants to see us broken and in pain and destroyed. So God just takes that and twists it around and bring the good out of that situation. And I remember I was reading Job, I think the first chapter, I think it's somewhere 25, verse 25 or something, where Satan was tempting Job, and, you know, all of the things happened. And then he said, you know, Job, with all these things, he's gonna deny your name, or he's gonna, you know, he's gonna leave you.
Yeah.
And then just looking at the way Jesus spoke about Job, where he said, just look at my servant Job. He's such a...
He was faithful till the end.
Yes, he was. Just, you know, seeing the way he spoke about him was such love, and always he was so proud of him, you know, seeing who he's become. And that just reminded me again, you know, God doesn't want to see us suffer. But at that point, I was reading that, and it just changed my whole perspective about how I saw this time period. Was God doesn't sentence you to trial, you know, he trusts you with trial. And when I saw that, it just, my whole mindset changed, because God trusts you with this. Satan brought it on your way, but God knew you can make it through. He is never gonna take you above what you're able to
bear.
To bear. And I just saw that time period as if God is placing this great responsibility in my hands of, I have the opportunity to choose whether I'm going to, you know, give the blame it all on God, or if I'm gonna use this to glorify God and to honor Him. And even still now, when, you know, you still go through little things, you know, there's always trials and things, I'm still reminded about it's not you know, it's not a curse, it's rather a responsibility. God is placing this in your hands because He knows through the pain, through the struggles and the all of these things, you're still gonna hold on to Him. He's gonna use you to prove Satan wrong, like He used Job. And
if we know God's character, we know that whatever comes our way, He has approved, you know, and He won't, like you said, you know, He won't push us beyond our limit. Sometimes we feel we are pushed beyond our limit. I have friends, and I'm glad I've got this opportunity as well, that they lost a sibling and they lost a daughter. And you can either decide, you know, at that point, it's I don't even know how to talk to that. I've not lost a sibling or someone in my family, for that matter, close to me, but I've lost, you know, dogs and things like that, and that was real tough. So I can't imagine how it is to lose someone that close to you, but that is exactly what we're talking about now. That's where you hold on to God, and you know there's a reason for this. You're not going to see it now. It could take you 3 years to understand, but if you, at this point, if you let go of the faith, that is a very dangerous thing to do, and you blame God, perhaps, potentially. That is very, very sad space to be. But like I said, it's difficult. The situations are really hard, and
Yeah, I lost my father to cancer, and if it wasn't for faith in God, you wouldn't have any hope left in this world. So that's the only thing that can keep that hope when you lose a loved one?
Yeah, let's reason together. Speak to God at least. Don't just, a lot of people go into this state of depression that God is removed from their life. That's the end result. Sad, yeah.
Yes, it's like you said, rather than just turning away from God, find out, search for it. Why would God allow this? Or, talk to him. Find out, try to get answers rather than just pushing him away and accepting what you wanted.
Ask the questions. You can say, God, why? You can go sit there under a tree and cry, and you can, you know what I mean? You can scream and say, wow, what happened? Why? Give me the answers. Reason with him. Yeah.
So then I had the setback, and at that point we didn't know I had Lyme disease yet. They gave us the treatment, but we didn't know it was for the Lyme disease, and so I had the setback again, and it was almost back at square one again because I was released from the hospital, so there wasn't any doctor anymore. So then we decided to go back to our old house doctor, and he's a professor, and he looked at everything, and he came back to us and he said, but you tested positive for Lyme's disease. And we said, but they said you don't get it in South Africa. And he said that is what they teach the students in the university, that you don't get it in South Africa because it's such a complex thing. So then at least it was an answer to our prayers. At least we knew what was going on. We had a diagnosis, and we could take things from there on. And we did some research. We found out more things about Lyme disease, and we contacted a few people which also said they live in South Africa and they have Lyme disease. And so we contacted people, and they said they went to this doctor, and again we jumped from doctor to doctor, tried this, and we tried everything there possibly can be.
Over how long did this happen, all of this occur so far?
At that point it was 10 months.
Okay, so far. So yes. Almost a year. Okay.
So then it was almost a year that I was paralyzed, so I couldn't walk at all. And we went for lots of tests, and then we found out it was Lyme disease. So then one of my dad's friends contacted him and said one of their friends have Lyme disease, and that lady has been struggling with it for 30 years. She had Lyme disease, and she was already married, and she had I think 3 children. So then we got into contact with her, and we started talking to her, and she said it was actually the exact same symptoms. She said she also started with flu symptoms, and then it was she was paralyzed, and she told us about treatment in Germany. So then we decided we're going to reach out to Germany, and we did some research about the clinic. And so it's a clinic about it was actually a clinic for cancer patients, but they found out it's more effective on Lyme disease patients. So the treatment that they do there is they detox I think it's 2 weeks that you're there. So the first week you do a detox to prepare you for the hypothermia. So then the hypothermia is they put you on a anesthesia, and then they raise your body temperature to 41 degrees. So at that stage, the toxins or the bacteria starts to want to get out. So then they put I think, I don't remember exactly what, but they put the medication or whatever in your veins, then it kills that bacteria under that
Those conditions.
yes.
So your body is kept at 41 degrees Celsius. Am I hearing
Yes.
correct? But
Yes,
that's almost
Celsius.
like, that's the point. You know, if you have fever and you're over 40, it's very dangerous. But they obviously,
Yes.
it's in a vacuum, or not a vacuum, but it's
Controlled environment.
controlled environment. Thank you. Yeah.
So then we did the research and we were like, okay, this sounds really good. And the lady we talked to, she also said she went for that treatment and it was a great success. She's able to walk again and she can go on normal. So we reached out to them and we found out it was 800,000 rand for the treatment. So
For 2 weeks.
yes, so it is a lot of money, and we don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
So we reached out to them, and then we started to, thinking about a fundraiser. It was just an idea, we need to get the money, and we were thinking, a fundraiser takes a lot of time. You don't just get the money quickly, and in our hometown, my dad is really active with the community. It's a very close community, and he's really a part of the Farm Watch. And they had a meeting the one night, and one of the guys came up to my dad and he said, "How's your daughter doing back at school again?" And he said, "No, she's not back at school. It's getting worse. We're really concerned about the disease." And he said, but he thought everything was back to normal. And so then my dad told him about Germany and the treatment, and then he said, "You know what, we want you to go home, we're going to take it from here." So then they started a fundraiser, and the whole community, it was actually amazing to see how everyone just joined in and helped out, which was quite a great relief because there was so much on your shoulders at that point, so many things to worry about, and then it was to get money from somewhere, and the whole community started a fundraiser, and we were prepared. It was going to take maybe a couple of months, maybe even a year to get the money, and we started the fundraiser, and it was amazing to see. So the guy that was in charge of the financials, he called my dad one day, and he was just crying, and he said he cannot believe it. The money is just flooding in, and we don't even know the people. Half of the people that sponsored the money, I didn't know them. My dad and my mom, they might have knew them from somewhere, but they didn't even know me at all. And so then it was, we reached out to Germany at that point, and they contacted us, and we sent through all of the forms and the blood tests and everything that you need to do. And they contacted us back, and they said they're really sorry, but they don't take patients younger than 16. And I was 13 at that age. And
Another hurdle.
It was, yeah, you everything was just, your whole
Feels like your hope is just shattered.
yeah. So then they said they don't take patients younger than 16 years, and that it just, you fell into like a hopelessness. Where do we go from here? You just reached that point of, okay, there's hope, there's help. It's gonna, we can get.
And you had the
treatment.
money.
Yes, and
The money was there.
the fundraiser was going on, and then it was this hopelessness again. Where do we go from here? And at that point, it was, so we had to raise 800,000 rand. So it was a lot of money, and it was in 2 weeks we had that amount of money, which is impossible if you place that into human hands. Like, we cannot do that. And I remember the one the one lady, she's not Christian at all. She doesn't believe in anything. And someone asked her, how did you guys get all that money? And she said it was definitely a higher hand.
Yes.
We couldn't even do that at all.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing.
that was just so amazing to see someone else that doesn't even believe in God acknowledge that we weren't able to do that.
Was this from the small town in which you live only, or was it from surrounding areas in national?
So it was also from the people in town, but it was people from all over. So then that was amazing to just see how God's timing is right on time. It just made me think like God, when you say on time, it's not like 1 minute before or 1 minute after, it's on the dot. And that whole, the whole journey, just seeing how God is right on time with everything.
He tested your faith. There was time to test your faith, and when it was urgent, what did he do? Gave you your money, gave you the means. Yeah.
So then we got the money, but Germany.
Yeah, there was still the problem. You had to be 16.
To be 16, you cannot just be 16 in 3 days.
Let's see how the Lord fixed this.
Yeah, then it was almost like that again, where like, how are we gonna solve this problem? And a couple of weeks went by, we went for treatment again. I was actually busy with treatment in Middelburg, I think. And then my mom said she got a mail from Germany, and they said they looked at my results, and it was the Lyme disease got chronic, and they said I should come in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time, because they're gonna take the chance of taking in someone that's 13, because if they don't take me in, I might not make it. So then it was amazing. God provided again. We got the money, and Germany accepted us. So now it was a rush, because you need to get visas and all of that paperwork to be done.
You should be there in how long?
In 2 weeks.
Wow, it's impossible.
Yes,
almost.
It is impossible, and so that was the other thing. In South Africa, you don't get a visa just like quickly. With our Home Affairs, you don't get anything quickly. So then we did the application for the visas, and we needed to do an emergency visa so you could get it quickly. And that was also a whole complex thing, because you needed proof of why is it emergency, and you had to fill in a whole form, like why, the reason and everything. And at least we got that. It was for me, my mom, and my grandma, the 3 of us. So we had to get 3 emergency visas, and everything was just, it was amazing. That was amazing to see how God, everything was just like a puzzle, just coming together at the right, on the exact right time. And so then we booked the flight. We also had to get a flight booked. And so we flew the Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock, I think. And that afternoon, I think it was 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, we got the visas. So it was on time. So then we got the visas, and we went to Germany. And then we went for the treatment. They did the detoxing, and the detoxing was the okay part. I didn't have any issues with that. So then I was for hypothermia. I don't know why, but I was very light sensitive. My eyes, I think the doctor said my eyes was getting weaker also. I don't know why, but at least he said with time it will get better. So I did the detox, and when I got to the hypothermia, I had they started the hypothermia, and I think just when a few, I don't know, moments or hours in, I had an allergic reaction to the light, and my whole chest was it turned red, and it was just an allergic reaction. So then they stopped it, and again it was. We went all this way, and now it cannot work. It like my body doesn't allow it.
Doesn't accept it.
Yeah, and
Yeah. How many obstacles at that stage you must have felt? How many obstacles are going to be placed in our way?
yeah, it was just like the door opened and then it closed again. It opened and then it closed again. And I know, well, I was under anesthesia, so I didn't know about anything. And my mom just said she prayed, and she said, God, if you brought us to this, you'll get us through this. You have lead us all this way, and we know you're not going to just leave us right here. So then they said they tried it again, and they put it at low. They took it like slowly. They started doing it again, raising my temperature, and it was successful. So
Wow.
then it was an answer to our prayers again. So I did the anesthesia, and then I needed to repeat it again. It was the detox for a week again, and then another anesthesia again. And that was quite a difficult time. I know they did. I had really bad veins. Like even still now, when I have to draw blood,
So they
there's
can't find your
nothing.
veins.
Yes, there's nothing. So they had to put a tube that goes right to my heart, and that was the most painful thing ever, because they said they were gonna do it under anesthesia,
Yeah.
which I was prepared. I'm gonna sleep, and then I'm not gonna know about anything. So then they had to do it while I was awake, and that was so painful.
Is it?
Wow,
You feel it all the way down, eh?
Yes, I just remember, like, I don't know why, but the pressure the guy had to, like, the force to get the needle in it. Yeah, it was really painful.
Right.
That was the worst. So I did that, and I remember the other patients they had there. I think I was the first one to get that the tube in, and they said that it gave them so much courage to see I was 13 years, and so if I could do it, they could do it. So again, it was amazing to see God, how He uses you even at a young age for other people to get through it. And so we did the treatment, the hypothermia, and I was slowly getting better, but it wasn't quite what they expected. So I stayed another 2 weeks for more detoxing, and they did all sorts of things. So then I could walk again. That was amazing. I remember the most exciting thing for me was I could sit crossed legs again, because I wasn't able to move my legs at all. It was painful to put them in a different position, and I was able to do like little small things that you almost take for granted. You don't even realize how just these small things, like brushing your teeth, or like all the
We are in such a state of hopelessness, hey? Little things. And we also, sorry to interrupt, but we also just on that story where a door closed and the door opened again, and it's constant, because we don't realize the invisible battle that's going on. We don't know, with Job it was, I guess if I can put it this way, Satan asking for permission to harm someone, or to, and God uses that to prove the person's faith. So in this case, the same thing happened again. It could be Satan saying, yes, let's do this and see if we break her faith. God allows it. Let's see if we can do that. At the end of the day, are you happy? God asks Satan, are you happy? Can I now, fix my daughter?
the mistake that you made.
Yeah.
And when I started walking again, just that reminder, we take things so for granted, just to be healthy. It's such a blessing, waking up every day and you can do the usual things. That is a blessing. And so then I was able to walk again. I was still dependent on the wheelchair. I could walk short distances. I could go from my bedroom to the bathroom and, really short distances, but I was able to walk. And my energy levels, that was the main thing. My strength wasn't really fully recovered.
It's a year.
But,
you were a whole
yes,
year without using your muscles.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to take time now.
Yeah, everything was taking time, and to just get my strength back. So then we got back, and it was I was able to do all the things, normal things again, but it was also like slowly, like especially if I got a flu or something, it was like a little setback, not like at the beginning, but it was like slowly getting worse, not at the beginning, but so then one of our friends told us about treatment in White River, where it's also where it's mostly UV drips, where they put in detox and vitamins, and it's a whole complex thing. I don't really know how to explain everything, but we started going for weekly treatment there, and the doctor told us that they had a patient that was also in a wheelchair, and he went for a week treatment and he completely got rid of the wheelchair. He wasn't even dependent on it at all. And so I thought to myself, okay, they all say it, but let's see, I cannot lose anything. So we started going for that treatment, and I think it was 3 months that we went weekly for the treatment, and in 3 months I didn't use my wheelchair at all. I was able to do everything without it.
Back to normal? Completely back to normal?
Completely
sitting
back
today
to,
as well, there's no...
completely back to normal.
Wow.
I remember the greatest step I almost took was I went on a leadership camp, and we hiked out a mountain, which was I think 50 kilometers.
15 or 50? 50.
No, 15.
15.
15.
Okay.
Not 15. I don't think I would
But
even
still,
be able
15
to.
is a hike.
It is.
It is quite a lot. Just if you take from where I was, I remember the physio that came and visited me, I had to make little notes every day. The exercises I did, how many I did, and there was things I'm grateful for, and I would always write, like, I was able to take 70 steps, and I was able to take 500 I didn't think I'd counted to that, but like 100 steps, and every day it would just get better and better. And then from that to hiking was mind-blowing to me, just seeing how big a God we actually serve, like how he intervenes, and like he listens to us, he hears our prayers, and he's got a purpose he has a plan all along. We just need to, it just reminded me, like, just hold on to him, just see where this is going. He has a plan for
Just
everything.
wait.
Yeah, just wait.
Be patient.
Be still and just trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during all of this, when you got the disease and in the process where you are now, was there a lifestyle change?
Yes, there was a lifestyle change. I started with the New Start principles almost at that when I went for the treatment in White River. I was plant-based, before I got sick, but things got a bit difficult, and I was going a bit off the track. And then when I started doing that treatment, I was fully plant-based, doing all the New Start principles, and that also it completely changed like especially my energy levels, because for me that was still the thing I struggle with the most, was still the weakness. But just changing your diet also, it changed
Almost like the healing period.
Yeah.
It's just shortened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so amazing that someone as young as you can change their diet again, put in place the New Start principles, where people that's a lot older struggles to do it, or who doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So we can learn from people that are younger than we
sure.
are. But just quickly, what are the New Start principles?
The New Start is nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust.
Trust in God.
Trust in
Trust in
God.
God.
That is the New Start principles.
Yeah. So yeah, a few simple things that can change your entire life.
And there's a reason why God says in the Bible, our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. It will just be more effective if we live a healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's amazing if you do the New Start principles and the plant-based diet, you just feel better. You have more energy. Your body is happy because it's getting all the things it needs to function. And it's amazing it keeps you into connection with God. Your mind is clear. And it brings you closer to God.
Yeah, it was introduced that was the original diet, was exactly what you are talking, plant-based. And there's also, he wants us to be healthy. He's not, a lot of people rebel against health, but he just wants us to have that clear channel to him, so that we can have that connection with him.
And being plant-based doesn't always mean that you won't get sick, but you will recover faster. You will still have that clear mind. You remember better.
Yeah, you are more sensitive to bad stimuli, and then you always feel, but I get more sick, in the past I could eat, and I know we're not making this about a health, message here, but in the past when I ate almost anything, I maybe got sick once a year, but when I got sick, it was incredible. It was terrible. Now I can get a little bit more sick from eating something that I shouldn't be eating, because your body is cleaner. Your body, reacts to bad stimuli, and that's your body now, your healthy body getting rid quicker of bad things. Yeah. But that's amazing what has happened to you, and you are, as you're sitting here, do you jog still? What do you do? Do you play any sports?
I don't play any sports anymore, but I exercise daily. I jog, and
we should be jogging with it. Why?
Yeah, start a jogging club.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's even now, sometimes I still forget about the journey that I had from where I was, but just still that reminder of how it felt to be dependent on people for literally everything, and how privileged we are that we wake up every day, God provides for us every day. We're healthy, we can walk, we can do all these normal things that you take for granted. It's such a privilege that we have, and to even now to use it your fullest.
And this whole ordeal has brought I'm assuming, I'm asking, has brought your families, together, I'm guessing, and strengthened your faith,
It absolutely. I think the most amazing thing I got out of this whole journey was the fact that to get that mind switch. Even now, when I still go through trials, I'm reminded about the fact that God is placing that in your hands, that great responsibility, because He's given you that responsibility to prove Satan wrong, that you're not going to deny His name, you're going to be faithful, and through this, God can use you to reach other people. And even so, it made me think about the reformers, what they went through. They didn't even knew the
whole truth. They had pieces of light.
Yeah, some died for God's name, and through there was a beautiful piece and a great controversy that said their blood planted the seed that we're reaping now. Sometimes we don't even know. Maybe this is just something that can reach other people. The trial that you go through, it's difficult, but if you can get through that and you can give a testimony of how great and big our God is. I'm reminded of how the verse in Revelation where they say those that overcame and bear the testimony. I don't know if I confused the two, but that overcame and giving their testimony. God, He's given us that power to overcome. He's not gonna put something or allow something on our journey if He knows it's gonna break us. He allows it, but He gives us the power to overcome. It's still our decision if we're gonna see the good out of this or the bad in it.
Yeah, it's so inspiring, your story. There's so many times or so many reasons that would validate you turning away from God because of this and this and this that happened.
Yeah, and lose faith.
But you didn't. You only grew from that point onwards. And now your relationship with God is better. It's closer. It's just so amazing.
Yeah.
It is. I don't think I would, it was a really hard time going through that again. But I mean, if I could have chose, I would still choose going through all of that because spiritually it saved me. I wasn't lost, but it saved me spiritually. I got to see the bigger picture, the full picture about who our God is, who we serve, and just what a personal God He is. He cares so much for us. He doesn't want to see us suffer. Just holding on to that God is there. And you can see the end from the beginning. So why, we can only see the situation that we're in. We can only see this and this going wrong. But God can see the whole trail of why this needs to happen so that something else can fall into place.
Yeah. And to our viewers out there, if there's anyone going through hardship and troubled times, don't lose hope, don't lose faith. God is with you. He's there for you.
Yeah. This testimony is amazing. There are people out there with different needs, and every testimony reaches a different audience. And very thankful for having you here today and having you spoken about your struggles in life. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's
been a pleasure.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Shall we end with prayer? Heavenly Father, this has been a journey. This has been really interesting to hear how you've led this young lady through so many trials, and she's been faithful, Lord, and you have rewarded her for her faith, because you want the best for us, Lord. And my prayer is that we all understand our hopelessness, and that we rely on you to guide us through life, to guide us through everything that we need to cope with and that we need to do in our life. Lord, thank you again, and increase our faith, Lord. Increase it so that we may be better off, because you just want the best for us. Lord, I pray all of this in your loving name. Amen.